Okay. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do a prefab variant workflow. I'm going to create this switch here, which is a kind of a special type of switch because once you release it, it goes back to the neutral position, which is the center. So I'm using this video here. We are the function of all switches in one. So first I start seeing how it should behave.
Turn this back off. The power test is like this. Okay, and probe heat.
So as you can see in the video, this is a power test switch. That's how they are naming it. So I'm gonna use that name. And when he's pushing it down, on release, it goes back to the middle. So according to the reference, it only has two states, down and middle. So given that, I'll use two-state multi-switch prefab variant. So I'll go into my prefabs inside the Flair folder. Um, Prefabs, I have element, interactables, switches, and I have different type of multi-state switches. I'm gonna look for the two-state multi-switch. This is the pull switch. Two-state switch. Two-state switch variant prefab. This one, because it only has two states according to the video. So I'll go here. I'll drag my prefab. Since I'm working on the upper panel, uh, I have here like separators. So overhead, overhead panel interactables, and all my controls are here. So I'll put it in there. So we said it was the two-state switch variant prefab. So I'll drag it into here, and now since it by default it's like really far from where I want it, I'll just use this one here, because at the end I'm gonna replace this one. Since I already have a mesh there, I'm gonna copy the transform of that mesh. uh, Copy world transform. I want the world transform. Otherwise it will copy the local transform, but I want the world transform. And I'll go back to my switch, just a variant switch, and paste it, world transform. And now we cannot see it because it also copied the scale, but the scale is really, really small. So I need to always make sure this scale is set to 1. Uh, Now I can see the switch just on top of the other one. You see it? This is just a switch variant. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly hide it. I'm gonna remove this one just by hiding it for now. There's also a switch plate here, so select it also and hide it. And then we go back to our two-state switch, re-enable it, and now we have it where we want it. It seems that it's where we want it. Well, not exactly, because the previous switch was a little bit off. So I'll just center it. And then I'll make sure the round plate is also covering most of the hole here. Since the round plate is part of the prefab, I'm using it here. So I'll go inside here. When you're moving the switch, always make sure you're moving the parent object. Otherwise, you mess around with all the components. You may end up with the collider uh, off the center. So make sure when you're moving it, just move it here. Since I want to scale the plate, I go inside the switch, visuals, and there you have the round plate. Select it, and now you can scale it from here. So I'll scale it more or less. Okay, probably a little bit more. Now, since I have to recenter this again because I didn't did it carefully enough before, make sure you don't move the plate. Go back to the switch root and move it from there. seems to be better. Let me check here. Oh wait, it's not the right way. It's hard to see, but just let's try to. It's really hard to see. Alright, seems that's the right way. Let's move it more over there. Yeah, let's move it down. Might be easier to see it. Yeah, it seems more or less it's like where it should be. You don't have to be that precise as long as it's. You don't have to be that precise as long as it's like close to the border. That's good enough. But just make sure you're moving it from the root. We don't want to mess around with the relative positions of all the children here. So I'll probably move it here, here, and I'll scale a little bit more the plate. Here you go. I think that's way better. I'll just recenter it. Remember, go back to the root. That seems really good. I think if you press shift, I'm not sure, but I think if you press shift, you have access to more control over the amount of displacement you can achieve. I'm not sure, but I think that's the case. It seems to be the case. Um, I move it up. Never mind. Did I move this one up? No, because it's always 0, 0. That's fine. So I'll just go back to here and just move it down. Oh yeah, it's because I scaled it up. Then now it's seems to be higher. Okay, so we got it in the right place. Now we have it in the right position. We scaled off the plate, and now I want to make sure it's the two states are where I want them. So I remember it seems like on is down, and then let's go back to
On, it means the system is working properly. Turn these back off. The power test
so
is
initially
like
it's at the
this.
center, and the other position is down, which is on based on this. Well, we don't have the tag here, but it seems like in the video, and based on what he says, it's like on is downwards.
On, so it automatically detects that and turns it off. As long as this light doesn't come on, it means the system is working properly. Turn these back off. The power test is like this.
Yeah, so it seems to be on down. Uh, so what I like to do is always I have like kind of to standardize everything. I like to put uh, on align it with the green gizmo here when I select the root object. So on should be this red one. So what I will do is like on is always like the green, it's always the max angle. So it says it's 0. You can see it's looking up 0, and this is minus 45. I'll swap them. So I'll put this to 0, and then the max angle to 45. Uh, yeah, so that's how I want it, but I need to then rotate. So now you can see it's like, since I want the green to match on, which is the position that it's rotated. So now green is rotated, and the other state is 0. So minimal angle is 0, maximum angle is 45. The steps, it's fine because I only wanted to move. It's only two states, uh, so it can only have an increment of 45 from 0 plus 45. It adds up to 45. So that's right. I just need to rotate the whole object 180 degrees around the y-axis of the moon. I'll just place it here. So it's minus 90. And there you go. Now if I move this, I can verify. It's like when the value is 0, it's position at the center. My switch is at the center. When value is 1, it's at 45 angle degree downwards. So, and I only have 2 states. That's what I want. Okay, I'll leave it by default at 0. Oh, I think I moved something. Oh, no, it's fine. So I'll save. And now the only thing I'm missing is to rename my prefab and create a new prefab for this specific cabin control. Because remember, this is a prefab. This is an instance of a two-stage switch variant prefab. But I want then to create a new prefab with all these new settings that I just applied here. So I don't. Let's just remember how he named the switch.
And means the system's working properly. Turn these back off. The power test is like this.
Power test. So it's power test. Overheat power test. So I'll name it like that because I think there's more power test switches around the cabin. So I'll just rename it here first. I always leave this part of the name here because it tells me like which type of switch it is. So I leave it and I just add to in front of it OVHT power test dash two-step switch variant. Okay, you can, yeah, that seems to be it's the same convention. Easy exhaust OVHT power test switch variant. Uh, you don't have to be super precise in the naming. Just try to follow the convention, like type of switch, a dash before, uh, and the name you decide to put on it. If you don't know the name, just put an X dash or an unknown keyword, something like that, so we can easily find them here later if we want. I all this information is in the documentation. I'm just doing this special case. So now that once I have this one, I want to make a prefab from it because I want to store all these settings I have changed here. So I'll go into it's important where you place it. So uh, we put all of them in the same place. So prefab, cabin controls. Currently, I only have the overhead panel ones. So I'll go here, then overhead panel switches, and then I will drag my new switch into here. And it's going to ask me, do you want an original prefab or a prefab variant? This is really important. Um, well, since I was starting from a two-stage switch prefab variant, what I want is a prefab variant. And so I'll click here. And now I have my prefab. So if I click this one, like my prefab, it says like here, variant parent two-stage switch variant. That's what I want because this should be a child of the two-stage switch variant prefab. No. So that's fine. Now any changes that I apply to the parent prefab, this prefab, they will be applied also to all the variants. In this case, this one and any other variants that are derived from this prefab here. Okay, so now I'm good now. But if you remember, there's like a unique behavior. This one.
Turn these back off. The power test is like this.
So when he releases the switch, it goes back to the middle position. So there's a script for that. So I forgot to add that when I was creating the prefab. So what I can do now is reselect my object here, my instance. I'll just collapse everything here. Add a component, and this one switch. This one switch neutral reset and release. Switch neutral reset and release script. This one is asking for multi-stage switch type, which in this case is the same one in the same component in the same object. That's fine. And the value that represents neutral, where it's going to go back. It's in this case it says zero point 0.5, but in my case it's 0 because I only have two states. The one that it's when it's downward and 0. So here I should be. I don't have in this case I don't have 0 0.5, so it's 0. So the neutral state is 0, which is this one. If you don't remember that, you can go back here and move this value and see where you want. In this case, I want when I release, I want it to go back to this state, which is value 0. So that's what I'm putting here. So since I have modified my instance here, and I want to apply it to the prefab, which prefab this one because I already created it. Uh, Make sure it's this one because if you haven't created a new prefab and you apply this, it's going to apply it to the two-state switch prefab, and I don't want that. I want to apply only the change to this OBHPR test prefab, which is the one I have already created here. So since I know I already have a prefab here, that this is an instance of this prefab, I want to apply the changes to the prefab. So I can go here, and it says here, okay, you have the changes, apply all. And now if I go back here, it says no overrides. It seems I have nothing else added. So now let's go back to the prefab. And if you see now the prefab has the switch, right? The new prefab, but not the parent. If I go to the parent, I select here, it tells me go here. This one does not have that script there. That's what I want. Okay, so we got that one. We can save now. Yeah, that's it. Um, so that's like a special case, but overall it's the same process for all the different type of switches. Just make sure to select the initial prefab you want. Apply. Be careful whenever you create to choose prefab variant or original prefab. If you make any changes to the prefab, make sure you are applying to the prefab you want, not to the parent prefab. There you go. So that's it.